do you give the Spurs to win the title?
Well, I give them a very legitimate shot. As far as I'm concerned, it's a 50-50 proposition right now, the way these guys are playing. All along, I mean, there's nobody with sense that would question the Spurs' abilities or certainly not their coaching. The question is that all along, what were you waiting for if you expected them to fall? And in my case, me picking the Memphis Grizzlies to win this series, I expected the Spurs to get old real quick. I really anticipated it. And I was clearly wrong about that because they didn't look old at all. Tim Duncan is just phenomenal, and Tony Parker was nothing short of sensational. And I have a lot of respect for Mike Conley and Tony Allen. I think that they're two bright guards. They can deliver the goods on most nights, but they just got abused by Tony Parker in this series, and particularly last night in Game 4. They got annihilated. It's just that simple. There's no other way around it. Tony Parker just outclassed and outshined them in every way imaginable. He was clearly the difference maker. And as a result, the San Antonio Spurs just looked considerably better, and the Memphis Grizzlies looked completely in over their head. We also have to take into account the fact that Zach Randolph, which was my fault in terms of my basketball analysis. Clearly, I was just flat out wrong and to some degree blind, because why did I not realize that a guy that's about 1 inch to 2 inches shorter and certainly not nearly as long, who is allergic to going right, everything is with his left hand and everything in his power is to his left, how in God's name was that individual going to be effective against Tim Duncan? It wasn't going to happen. The combination of Tony Parker's abuse of Memphis's backcourt combined with Tim Duncan essentially schooling Zach Randolph, whom I respect. Bottom line is that the San Antonio Spurs were simply the better team, and the Memphis Grizzlies came across as a team completely in over their head. Not from the standpoint of, oh, they don't belong on the same floor as them, because clearly they do. But when the moment arrived for them to shine, to find a way to just step up and get it done, they were devoid of any closers. They didn't have a Mariano Rivera on their squad. They didn't have somebody to give the ball to and say, take me there. San Antonio had two individuals that could do that with ease, and that's what happened in this series. So I give them an incredible shot because they can play big, they can go small, they're a big-time perimeter shooting team, they have young enough athletes, they definitely have the savvy and the know-how and the experience and the coaching. The San Antonio Spurs, easily 50-50 shot to win the world championship. And Miami better watch out, because obviously I'm assuming that Indiana is not going to win this series, as I've said.
So if Miami does close the deal, who you got in the series?
Well, we can wait until that happens. Okay. Give me a few days.
I'm not going to wait. I tweeted the moment the game ended last night, the Spurs will beat the Heat in the NBA Finals.
Wow.
And I also tweeted, pass it on, and it got passed on like 10,000 times in the next hour. My point, Stephen A., was this. All I cared about for my Spurs, and I am going to claim them, and I did pick them to beat the Grizzlies, all I cared about was that a team that could not stay healthy in the playoffs over the last 6 years, as you point out, got to this point completely healthy and now has 10 days off to get even healthier. I did not think that Tony Parker's ankle would hold up like that. It is just fine. Ginobili's hamstring that he tore late in the year is just fine. Tim Duncan's knee that has plagued him for years is just fine, and they have 10 days off. And the reason I'm going to pick them to beat the Heat is the Spurs are playing at a supremely high team level right now. They just swept an incredibly physical and hot Memphis team that, I remind you, had just won 4 straight games against the Clippers that you lauded continually through the year on this show, and had just won 4 straight games against Kevin Durant and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And last night, against a team that has been dominant in the postseason in the paint with Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol. And by the way, I remind you, Stephen A., Zach Randolph torched my Spurs 2 years ago. Now, that was back when Tim Duncan weighed about 20 more pounds than he weighs right now. But he torched them, and they did a number on him last night that lasted back through 4 games. They turned him into a psychological basket case. My Spurs won points in the paint last night 52-32. And with a Tony Allen guarding Tony Parker. Tony Allen, I remind you, Stephen A., got the most votes from the coaches for first-team all-defense, one vote ahead of LeBron James. He guarded Tony Parker, and then Mike Conley, who was second-team on the coaches' all-defensive team, also guarded Tony Parker. And as you pointed out, Torch City. Tony Parker was pulling up, he was getting to the rim, he was getting to the free throw line where he made all 6 of his free throws. I also must remind you, Tim Duncan had 4 blocks last night. Tiago Splitter, and you have come around on Tiago, had 4 blocks last night. None bigger than this one late in the game. I don't know if we have this, but he blocked my distant cousin, Skip Bayless, and it was a pretty key block in this game. Memphis was making a run. Not only did he block it, they go the other way, and Tony Parker gets 2 clinching free throws. Kawhi Leonard, who is only 21 years of age, the one young Spur, Danny Green's 25. Kawhi Leonard had 5 steals last night, just disrupted the Memphis offense. All that collectively together, Stephen A., to me, says Spurs will beat the Heat in the NBA Finals.
I'd like to respond to an abundance of things that you just said. Number one,
Try.
please don't bring, well, I'm not going to refute it because I'm in no position today. I picked the Memphis Grizzlies to win this series. I'm not even debating with you right now. They got swept. There's nothing I can say. They didn't show up when it was time. It's just that simple. Please don't bring up Skip Bayless. I like him. I like his game, but he had a horrific series as far as I'm concerned. Every dumb decision under the sun he made in this series. So I don't want to hear his name. I'm allergic to his name today.
Well, I'm going to defend that name. It's a great name.
Not today. Not today. Okay? But then when you look at the San Antonio Spurs, what I would ask you to keep in mind, Skip Bayless, is that when you are a team that is playing with the level of precision and efficiency that the San Antonio Spurs are playing with right now, there's only one way to knock them off, and that is a Herculean superstar performance from a star amongst stars. That's what it takes. Memphis didn't have that. Miami does. And that's where it gets a bit interesting. Right. There are plenty of times, there are plenty of situations that I've seen in the past where a team looked better, but who are they up against? When you've got that star that you have to worry about, that you have no answer for, it changes things. And that's where this gets interesting, because unlike other series